We are just waiting for my beloved. Got water, got pictures. We haven't got the horses and the props this week. Probably want to see more of Kerry. Won't be long. We are minutes away from starting week 4. 4 weeks already. We've been here 4 weeks. And yeah, I think you're in for a bit of a treat tonight. I know you are. Mainly because Kerry's here.
Okay, we going?
We're going. Yeah, we're going. Hey, everybody. Welcome to week 4. This week's title, Teamwork Makes the Dream Work. So all about teamship and how marriages are probably the most important team you're going to be in if you're in one. So yes, just thank you for last week. We had a great time, some great feedback. A lot of people are watching the recording, so if you're watching this live, hello. If you're watching this recording and eating your popcorn, you know who you are. Yeah, welcome. We're delighted to have you with us in any format. So we've got a little bit of feedback. So Catherine says that she's making some progress on the marriage manifesto. Bless her. Prioritizing her partner more. They're speaking a lot more, which is just really great.
Lush.
Really nice. Yeah. And Debbie says
last week was her favorite one yet. She said she could actually understand it, which is great. It's just a shame she couldn't understand the previous weeks. Hopefully you'll understand this week's, Debbie.
Lush, isn't she lush? Hello, Debbie. For those of you that don't know me, if you're watching us for the first time, my name's Ben Leppier. I'm the privileged husband of this little beauty. I've got. I should actually count again, so I'll give a specific figure, but I've got the best part of 7,000 hours coaching experience. I've worked with property investors, business people, sports professionals, married couples, individuals, and from all that experience, I've learned what really makes the difference in people's lives, from people just doing okay and trundling along, from those people to those people that are really making life work for themselves. And our life isn't perfect, but we've carved out a brilliant life. We have a wonderful life, and we're really blessed in so many ways. So it is by design. It's not, happiness isn't by chance. And hopefully we are going to be introducing, bringing teamwork into helping you shape that life on tonight's session. So we are sharing some of that knowledge here for you for free. And we have valued it at £109 for this 6 weeks course. We have been told it is worth way more to people based on some feedback, but you guys are getting it for free, and it's only going to be free to view until the end of this course. So just letting you know. And Kerry, can you please you nearly said that. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Kerry. I write our social media and blog content. I do the most of the raising of our 3 children. which is why the social media content is sometimes a bit flat, and why the house is a mess.
Not tonight.
No, Ben ran the vacuum around. Thank you. Yes, and I take care of money and finances and all the other bits that people don't really see. So, and we do make a good team, don't we? Work wise and apparently housework wise.
Yes. What was my face like as I was vacuuming tonight?
I didn't even look up from my phone.
It was complete zone
I
out.
was watching a video.
I was vacuuming around you and I was just like a mopey git. Anyway,
I think I was probably hoping you'd do the bathroom after.
because of that post last night. No, vacuuming takes a lot, doesn't it? I am a professional coach, as in I make money from my profession. I've got a heck of a lot of experience, and we're just making suggestions here because we are seeing what works in our own marriage and what works in other people's. It's just our opinion, and it should not replace any therapy or medical condition you may have. And obviously, you are completely free to go. No one is forcing you to be here. We are delighted that you're here, but you're here of your own accord. Last week we looked at passion killers, anger and fear, and how and I shared information about my anger and how I can specifically see that, and you shared
about fear.
Yeah. And we took a really, really good look at it as much as we could with the time that we had. So we hope that was some value for you guys. And Kerry said, I was an arse. There is awareness, recognition, and then elimination. And we've got another acronym for you this evening. So the roadmap we're heading you on is why is team important in marriage? Why we don't work as a team? And what can we do to take ownership of building a strong team? So effectively, what are the fundamentals of good teamship, which is a phrase I've been introduced to this week from one of my heroes, Sir Clive Woodward. So, and on the back of his name, during the training and build-up for the 2003 World Cup.
This is story time.
When England were in Australia and Kerry was in Australia. Kerry was actually very drunk in Australia, specifically the World Cup final. Sir Clive Woodward and his coaching staff had put the England team through hundreds of hours of physical, psychological, and emotional training. They were incredibly prepared for this World Cup, probably their most important to date, than any team ever has been to take on a Rugby World Cup. He took them all to a military training camp before they flew out to Australia to be observed and put through their paces by the finest military outfit in the world, the SAS. Following lengthy exercises and testing, the commanding officer in charge, who knew nothing about rugby, gave his recommendation for who of the 30 men should be taken to Australia and who should be left behind. I really like this story. I don't know why.
It's good. You enjoy it.
He made his assessment not based on high-tech computer software and cutting-edge technology, but on personal experience of being victorious in battle. And it came down to who are energy givers and who are energy sappers. It was that simple, which I found really fascinating because I love the detail of rugby and all of the details of the game, but to find out from somebody that could have put such a detailed, specific, complex answer. He just said he's an energy sapper, he's an energy giver, and the energy sappers just stayed home. And so what makes a marriage thrive, or what makes a marriage intolerable, is what energy and love you can bring to it rather than what energy and love you try and take away from it. And to be honest, I think we can all be energy sappers and energy givers. But what we want to learn to do is to be an energy sapper, an energy giver as often as we possibly can.
Yeah. So the morals of the story.
I've lost where we are. Okay.
That expert guidance can help us become stronger. We know what we don't know. We can all be both at different times, but when you are in an energy giving space, you can contribute even more to your team. That sounds like more work, but responsible, proactive, loving people are happier people. There is perhaps no more important team in the world than the marriage team. Football clubs, rugby clubs, cricket clubs, Olympic boards, etc., are investing billions of pounds every year to ensure they have the most prepared, fittest, able bodied team possible come match day. The NHS has had to work as a team. Charities and groups all over the world are prepared and released in the event of tsunamis, hurricanes, earthquakes, and natural disasters to get aid and support to the people affected. There are millions of examples of us working so much more powerfully and effectively when we work as a team. But when it comes to marriage, we have whinging, complaining, ingratitude, anger, frustration, selfishness. We have the opposite of teamwork. At best, we might have a division of labor. Someone earns the crust while someone else raises the kids. But two people working in isolation to fulfill their function only is a recipe for disaster.
You speak so well.
I speak
You speak
Bristolian.
so well, so articulate and clear. So why is teamwork so happy to an important marriage? I'm sure all of you have got a really interesting response to that. Here's ours. That excellent teamwork requires independent responsibility. I think excellent teamwork requires independent responsibility, and that's a big issue, taking an appropriate level of responsibility for your own life, let alone taking an appropriate level of responsibility in marriage and to be a parent as well. It's big, isn't it? You know, working together towards a shared goal helps us feel connected and supported. 3, together we can accomplish more. Woohoo! And 4, for those of you that have got kids, the kids are watching and absorbing like sponges how to deal with the world based on what they see and witness from your interactions. So there is literally nothing you can hide from them. So don't fool yourself. So it's so important to get your head around building a team because your entire family is affected. Essentially, I've put this in big stars. What makes a good marriage is people undertaking their responsibilities in a clear, effective, and loving way. What makes a great marriage is over delivering on your accountabilities and having an awareness regarding your partner's current workload and accountabilities so you can dig in and work a little harder when you have it to give. And don't resent the giving of it or keep score of it. You just give. Last bit's important, isn't it? That we're not clocking up what he's done for me, what she's done for me, and I've done 5 things for him. Why ain't he just done this one? Blah, 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 blah. So when I have a full day of calls and I don't have much to give, I still walk into the house and I make an assessment of where Kerry is and what's required of me. And so often I literally have to force her to go and have a break because she wants to stay in the game and keep going and keep giving. And obviously I don't force too hard because it's an inconvenience for me. Then I'm tired as well, and I've got to have all the kids. But I can just see, and we need to be aware of seeing our partners that when you can step in and take the reins, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. You know, sometimes I can just give you 10 minutes, and you really appreciate that, don't you?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know how you zone out for such a small time, but
it's instant.
It's just no noise for 10 minutes. So effectively, usually we're fulfilling our roles, but we're both seeking to go the extra mile each and every day. So yeah, is the notion of meeting your responsibilities is what to get a level of equilibrium and everything's okay, but to make it great, we're looking to over deliver and not keep score whilst we're doing that, which is difficult. Because I have given a lot more today, and I did almost want you to say, I'm so grateful that every time you come down, you know, I got a break and you were busy as well, but you've had the kids. Like there was a little bit of that, which I could have asked for. Could have asked you to help me feel appreciated. But the bottom line is I did it because I had a little bit of extra to give today.
Yeah.
After lying in the stream
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah.
It's not a metaphor for anything. It actually led in a stream.
Yeah, strange. Lockdown provides us with a unique opportunity to redefine and visit, perhaps for the first time, how we can build a world class team in our home. Before making our family world class, we start with our marriage and lead from the front. Before we do, let's look at what can go wrong in teams and examine where you are falling over, if you are. Why wouldn't we work as a team? Some of those reasons might be afraid or believe that we are worth asking for what we want. Husband or wife already believes they do enough. Part of our identity lies in our belief or desire to be the martyr, entitled to our way. Some believe that women are incapable of plumbing or typical man jobs. We like being in control of the team rather than a contributor within the team. We avoid responsibility like the plague. And he will eventually take advantage of me. And vulnerability and asking for help simply does not and will not ever exist in your vocabulary. Hope you didn't have me in mind for that one.
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, that's good. I'm
I
getting
would-
better at that.
If you asked me like that, I would never say yes. Anyway.
Okay, so over to you guys. We've got an exercise for you. Hopefully you've got your pen and paper. If not, you can come back to it later. It's only a small thing. It's just to answer this question, are you an excellent team player, a good team player, an average team player, or prefer isolation? And then ask your partner to share their self-assessment with you, and you can give your partner a team player rating.
Great. We'll give them a couple of minutes. Could you say it again, just so it's clear?
So the question is, in your marriage, okay, not on your football team, are you an excellent team player, a good team player, an average team player, or do you prefer isolation? So both of you do that, and then if you're feeling brave, ask your partner to give you a rating.
Okay, we'll just hit mute for a moment. Marge Simpson says very true.
Somebody messaged tonight, so please.
Oh, we're muted. Like my dad. Okay. I know. A quick 2 minutes here. Okay. So a common marital occurrence incident. We've actually used our crash test dummies in Florence and Eden in this example to just make it a bit fun and light-hearted, but it's an example of how we make a fundamental mistake in the way we approach teamwork in marriage. And we just witnessed that just a couple of days ago, and it was just a great example for me to watch unfold. And I thought, that's exactly what grown-ups do, and I speak to them about pretty much every single day.
Florence and Eden are 7 and 5.
Thank you. Yes, so
2 of our kids.
Beautiful people. So Florence and Eden are playing in the garden, and when they come into the house, Eden doesn't tell Florence, and Florence is left on her own in the garden. And then she comes into the house, so that now they're both in the house, and she says nothing. And she doesn't say how she feels about it, but she just doesn't say anything. She just clocked it's happened. A little later, they're both playing in the garden again, and because Eden didn't tell Florence she was leaving earlier, she decided not to tell Eden and left the garden. As Florence is walking away, Eden isn't having this, and she says, "Florence, stop, wait." Florence keeps walking, and Eden then hits Florence because she isn't listening to her. Florence feels right that she shouldn't have to wait because Eden did it to her earlier, but didn't communicate that, saying effectively with her behavior, "You did this to me, so now I have absolute righteous freedom to do whatever I want to do to you." Like, we're literally painting the picture of one of the world's biggest problems. I actually, and adults would go as far as to say, I actually have to do it to you to teach you a lesson with my actions. Isn't this incredibly unclear? No one's saying anything at this point. Unfortunately, no one learns anything from this scenario. Florence and Eden just both feel sad. So we can explain it and break it down until the cows come home. But the bottom line is everyone has a different opinion and perspective of the event. We almost never know what the actual truth is in the middle. Bird trying to get in our window. But it's kind of difficult to resolve. This is what I'm helping couples with every day, is she sees it this way, he sees it this way, and not one of them are actually seeing what really happened. But we help people see different choices in building a team. So what can we do differently? So neither of them had yet outlined what they would like from their sibling with regards to leaving the garden. I'll say that again. No one had yet outlined what they would like from each other with regards to leaving the garden. What is the expectation of garden leaving? When this happens, someone usually gets hurt, don't they? A rule could be, we always leave the garden together unless someone needs to go to the toilet. Then they can go on their own, and they must come back within 5 minutes. And if someone asks for your attention, give it to them. Don't walk away, regardless of how unkind they've been to you. That's a separate issue. And communicate where you're going at all times to give those you care about information so they can make more informed choices for themselves. They're just some learning. But the key takeaway from that story is both people had an expectation. Neither of them communicated what they really wanted and expected. And hence we've got pain, suffering, ridicule, sadness, torment, and
abuse.
Abuse. Physical violence.
When Ben and I got married, we had a big discussion, probably lots of discussions about which roles and responsibilities we wanted and didn't want. And we're pretty much stuck to that. We review it sometimes if one of us is generally a little bit narked off with one of their jobs, but we've, I think, stuck to most of our jobs and we since we got married. When you agree, you must be willing to be held accountable to that by your partner on a daily and weekly basis if necessary. Be honest about the jobs you really don't want to do as well, which I'm not great at. I tend to say, yeah, I'll do that, to things like watering the plants. And then we end up with lots of dead plants around the house. So be honest about what you want to do and also, what you're capable of doing. I'm clearly not capable of keeping plants alive. Just I can do kids, but yeah, not plants. So we've got 4 pillars of the marriage team now.
Yes, yeah, let's go through that. And I guess just have a little think about an example of you've just given a great example of what you've chosen to do, but you are learning to deal with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would just like us to give an example of something that we've done or messed up. But I don't know if we're going to be able to find one.
I'll have a think.
Yeah, okay. So the 4 pillars of the marriage team. So Kerry last week blessed us with an acronym of ARS. And as I was articulating this information, I came up with another. I didn't come up with it, actually. I wrote the 4 pillars being the 4 pillars you need to hold up your roof to have a good, strong house. And Kerry realized that they spelt
another classic
acronym, crack. So we have the genius of the marriage people bring you the arse crack. That's about as low as our humor could plummet, to be honest. And Kerry drew that bum on some matchstick legs for me. But
Ben was the model.
I won't. That is like a photograph of what Kerry sees every morning.
Anyway.
I haven't finished the thingy.
Oh.
Okay, so C for clearly define. So list everything that is going to be needed to be done in the home and allocate a name next to it and a frequency or delivery date. Be open to this to constantly change with the changing needs of your life and your family, etc. Doesn't need to be exactly 50-50, but you have to be willing to review and accommodate. And generally speaking, the women will lead this because, well, they're just more organized. I know that's not. I know some very organized men. Sir Clive Woodward is a very organized man, but he's a sir among men. So, you know.
Yeah.
The second on the crack acronym is R. R for being responsible. So be responsible. You simply take responsibility and do the best you can regarding what has been allocated to you. Responsibility being when we break a glass, but when you're responsible, we would go as far as saying, yes, hand up, that was me that broke that glass, or yes, this is me, I want to take that action on. I want to hoover the house, I want to take the bins out every week, and then you are just responsible for that activity. And the A in the crack is to be accountable. So at any time, you can be held and expected to deliver on your commitments. It's technically the only reasonable expectation we have of each other is if you have specified what you are willing to commit to, and then it's like a promise. It's the only times a reasonable expectation is if someone's promised or you've signed a contract. And so we would go as far as saying, get it written down and almost make it contractual between you. Accountable is difference between responsible and accountable is I've just broken that glass and now I'm going to go ahead and clean up. So I'm going to actually follow through on what I have put my hand up for. And finally, number 4, communication has to be crystal clear. As it's okay if you can't get something done. You know, you don't need to be held by ransom and by blood. You have to make all relevant parties aware of the fact that you cannot meet your commitments, which is okay. We do that a lot. I can't quite do this. I can't quite do that. Can you just rejig this? Can we move stuff around? And it's critical that your communication's good. I would go as far as to say never assume. If you're in any doubt, always double check with your partner. Don't just assume that they're going to be available to take over your task, because people get a bit peed off if you do without asking them. It doesn't matter how close your marriage, when you just assume someone's going to do something for you, people get a bit peed off. And my head's just being flooded of how often I probably do that in our relationship. No, am I a good communicator?
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
So you don't need to get this perfect in practice, but everyone has to be clear on what is expected of them. Otherwise, how can you possibly function like an effective team? You will make this work through trial and error, and be patient with each other. Most unhelpful behavior is born out of what we expect of our partner, and half of the time we haven't even asked clearly for what we want.
So yeah, I just want to reiterate here that the teamwork is important. We've listed some of the reasons why we don't want to work as a team, and what can we take ownership of to build a strong team, whilst also indicating that, yeah, being responsible and accountable is blinking hard, but it's the only way that a marriage can work. You know, you really need me to be delivering on what I've said I'm going to deliver on. Otherwise, who does it?
Yeah.
You know, it starts to put such a strain on you if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. I don't know why I want to labour this point. I guess even just talking it through now, it's actually a really common thing that I speak about to people day in, day out. And perhaps I haven't really seen it so clearly. Okay, so we've got some examples of owning our mistakes. We largely live in a bit of a blame culture where we're the last person to see that we've actually made a mistake. making a mistake can be a really painful experience. So we just avoid pain like the plague. So why would we want to have that experience? It's so much easier to blame someone else and avoid taking responsibility for a choice that I made. For example, I think I was late for a call today for about 5 minutes,
Mm.
and the truth was that I didn't have any problems. I had just been irresponsible for the 30 minutes in what I had chosen to do before I got to that call. And it's easy to say, I couldn't quite get out of the house or whatever. It's not true. I chose to prioritize different things,
Mm.
and I was 5 minutes late. So it just feels a little bit more sweaty on the palms if you just say, I chose to prioritize something else. I'm sorry, that would have made you feel a bit unimportant to me, but that was what I did. That was my mistake. And
And that
just
helps you to
own it.
change. And that
It
helps
does
you to
help you.
grow. That will stop you doing it again rather than
Thank you. Yeah.
taking the easy route and kind of lying.
Yeah. If you blame someone else, you never get to grow in the strength of responsibility
Yeah.
or being more loving.
Yeah.
So we just thought it was helpful to list a few more examples of what it looks like to own um, when you don't deliver, because it's not punishable by death. Everyone makes mistakes, and yeah, we just don't seem to take our mistakes well and we hide them. So we've got some examples here to help you become more proficient at that. Example number one: this week I was down to take the kids swimming, and I called you with 30 minutes to spare before they were due to leave, and I asked you to take them. That really sucked, and you had to drop what you were doing to accommodate my irresponsibility. Can we change it so that I take them alternate weeks and I can manage my diary more adequately? I can also take from you an extra couple of nights of dishes in return for doing that. And I've just dropped in that it almost sounds conditional to say I'm now going to take something from you and I'm going to exchange this with you. But in terms of the role that you fulfill in your relationship, it's it is conditional because it's a commitment you make, and if I want you to do some of my activities from my commitments, it's only right that I should then find a way to support you with yours. So
Mm-hmm.
it is a bit of an exchange, so a form of condition, but that's okay. That's what makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would you be willing to read out the next two?
Last week I left the room. You were responsible to keep cleaning a mess. I was tired and I just wanted to leave after finishing the mortgage paperwork. You then cleaned it up, which I felt grateful for, but guilty more than anything. I'm sorry about that.
I really needed help with shopping this week, but I was playing the martyr, poor little old me card. For the Northerners watching, I'll say that again: poor little old me card. And what did you see? I could do it on my own. That was dumb. I would really like your help. So can you do the shopping once per fortnight so I can have an hour on my own? I would really appreciate that. That's even that is it takes courage, doesn't it, to ask for what you want in
Yeah.
that way. It's such an you don't hear that very often.
Mm.
Someone asking so clearly, without expectation, not demanding it, not being bitter, not being angry, just black and white. Here's some information that I'm making a request for what I want.
Mm-hmm.
What's your general? Can I ask a question? Like, what's your general experience of women that you know and their ability to ask clearly for what they want? Is that a general question?
Well, I do speak to a lot of women on and offline,
Yeah.
and love them.
Mm.
They generally don't ask for what they want, and I think that's largely because they don't really feel worth asking, or they're afraid of getting a no.
Mm.
So I do think that's something that we could, as women, work on. Actually, is asking for what we want clearly. Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it's kind of difficult because as soon as you ask for what you want, it might be outside of what we've committed to for any given day.
Mm.
It's absolutely okay for you to ask. And it might be a request that simply is not possible to be accommodated on that day. But it's really important and you matter enough to say, can I please have a bit more extra time to do blank blank? It works, and as soon as you ask the question, even if you don't get it, you feel more valuable
Yeah.
just by sharing the words of your request.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what a really helpful point to raise.
I know that when I'm asking Ben something or making a request for him to do something less, then always helpful to just do it with grace, do it with smile, do it with, tenderness as well. So make sure that if you're giving feedback or asking for help, that you're not doing it from a place of you need to do more and I'm doing this and you're not doing that. You need to be in a very peaceful, happy, full place. Build your husband up in your mind first before you give feedback or make the request.
Yeah, and one almost begets the other, because when you feel worth asking for what you want, you ask confidently, and it does have, I think, one of the dictionary definition for, oh no, it's not confidence. What's the other word when
Courage? No.
when someone's got something really attractive on, like as a stage presence?
Charisma?
Charisma. Thank you.
Words.
Charisma and confidence are synonyms, and charisma is actually, if you look in the dictionary, it is an ethereal fluid bestowed upon you from the stars. Isn't that
Nice.
cool?
Yeah.
And so, don't know if you believe in the universe, law of attraction kind of stuff, like we do. We have a faith and blah blah blah. So although you could still argue it away based on what you've read in the dictionary, having an additional higher power that you get access to when you carry a level of confidence and conviction when you ask for what you want. How we normally do it is all the way across the room. We almost say it timidly because we don't feel worth asking for it, or we demand it and say it in an angry way because we don't think your partner's going to do it and you'd really like them to, which is the most likely time for your partner to retaliate and say, no, can't do that right now.
Or do it resentfully.
And clock it up and write up their little score sheet. So we can help you with that. If you want to be doing this better, if you want a better team at home, so this is straightforward enough, and almost all conflict in marriage is born out of expectations. We've mentioned that a number of times today, and mentioned that you can ask to be appreciated. Rather than saying you don't appreciate me, or walking around sulking around the house because your partner doesn't understand. If you're walking around sulking that you're not feeling appreciated, you could just sit down with them and say, have you got 5 minutes? There's something I just really want to share. I would just like you to tell me that you appreciate what I'm doing in the home.
Yeah.
It's, nobody ever says that to one another, but it's a perfectly legitimate request. Your partner might say, well, you don't appreciate me. Okay, yes, I would be delighted to tell you how I appreciate you, but I've said, can you tell me how you appreciate me as a start? I would really like to hear it today.
I've said that to you a few times, especially around cooking, haven't I?
Yes.
I just need.
You love my appreciation around cooking.
I just need to know that everyone's enjoying the meal and that it's appreciated. That's probably the one where I sort of remind you the most, don't I?
Yes, and
like tonight even.
Yeah, but don't lie. Don't lie if you don't appreciate the cooking. If Kerry hasn't loved what she's made, she puts it down and then she has hers, and then she's just looking at my face to see if I appreciate it or not. Which you can tell my yes, you do need to try this. You will get it wrong. You will get it long, laugh, and try again. It's kind of fun. It's to make fun of this. My gosh, marriage can be we make it so darn hard. And at the end of this course, we'll be offering a more comprehensive course to allow us to delve deeper into helping you own these mistakes, loving your partner whilst they're making their mistakes and not making that mean more than it does, carrying your own bitterness and resentment around with you. And if your partner isn't listening to these videos, how to approach them, love them, care for them, show up in your relationship, so they start to open up to being more on the same page as you. If you're watching this video, you're already opened to a different chapter, a different way of doing things. And yeah, we would love to support you with that further. There'll be more one-to-one interactions. We can help you solve your specific issues and problems, because so difficult to just do anything other than make this generic to catch as many of you as we can.
So we're coming to the end. We've got some homework for you to do before the week, is to sit down and discuss the roles and responsibilities in your family. Set some time aside, put names in boxes, put on some music, have some fun, avoiding the chaos. So a bit like what we did at the beginning of our marriage, is to just write down everything that is done around the home, everything that's done outside of the home, to do with the car, the garden, the kids, the finances, everything. And be really honest about what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and what you can and cannot do. Don't kill those plants. Okay?
And I just want to say that I love you. And I'm going to cry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Well, I do love you. I'm not joking about that bit. But how much fun we're having here, it's genuine, because we work so hard on all this stuff. And I don't know how close any of you guys are, or how easy you find it to create intimacy in your relationship. It's not common, actually. So I just wanted to point that out, because no one else will if we don't. This is what it looks like when it works. So teamwork is the only way, according to Sir Clive Woodward and according to Carrie and me. Anything else leads to resentment and bitterness. We can build strength using the arse crack model. And you can watch the recording of this and pause that if you want to see me in the buff. Have regular reviews to update your commitments and your team role. We take this really seriously. Like the impact of your marriage on your family, your kids, is just ripples into generations to come. So the choices you make every day have a bigger butterfly effect than most of us realize. And taking the responsibility for those consequences now really helps us grow into happy and strong people. So Kerry has a beautiful quote to finish our time together this evening.
We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And that was by Aristotle.
And so would you just be willing to remind them of the homework for those that want to do it just at the end of the session?
Yep, to go through all of the roles and responsibilities in your family, and then pop your names next to the ones that you are willing or happy to do.
Thank you. We would love an email from you for kerry@themarriagepeople.co.uk, because we've only got 2 sessions left. We've got a whole bunch of topics we could do. We have planned to do money and love maps. And
what's love maps?
Love maps is understanding how to love your partner, because there's not one rule, one size fits all. Everybody's got a unique path to their heart. And so understanding the particular way that your partner feels loved is really valuable to know and understand. And money, obviously, how to manage money in marriage, incredibly important as well. But if there's other topics that we would love to hear from you about, so if you would like us and we get a general consensus, we can tackle another topic and slide one out and put one in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's been wonderful. We've been delighted to be with you guys, and we are looking forward to being here with you next week. We love you, and hopefully you enjoy the homeworks and implementing more of this great stuff into your marriage.
Good luck.
Good luck. Yes. See you all next week.